time to build onto the team of 2019's legacy. Stand up and get loud. This is our time. This is Baldwin Wallace Yellow Jacket Soccer. And this is finally game time. Let's go!
Good evening and welcome to the George Finnie Stadium for tonight's Ohio Athletic Conference game between the Otterbein Cardinals and your very own Baldwin Wallace University Yellow Jackets. Otterbein enters today's game with an overall record of 7-4 and an OAC slate of 1-1. BW comes into the contest with an overall record of 8-5 and an OAC mark of 1-1. And now for your starting lineups. For Otterbein University, goalkeeper, number 0, Colin Hoffman. Defensive end, number 2, Zach Lancy. Forward, number 4, Nathan Neal. Forward, number 5, Paul Hensley. Defensive end, number 6, Nicholas Fleury. Midfielder, number 8, Eric Stuckey. Midfielder, number 9, Paul Piong. Defensive end, number 10, Zach Barwick. Forward, number 11, Kennedy Mensah. Forward, number 12, Will Isaac. And midfielder, number 13, Tiger Pham. The Cardinals are coached by head coach Jason Griffiths and assistant coaches Tom Greensaw and Jaden Lunger. And now here's your starting lineup for your Baldwin Wallace College Yellow Jackets. Senior goalkeeper from Richfield, Ohio, number 38, Patrick Mehall. Sophomore defender from Munster, Indiana, number 2, Reed Watkins. Sophomore defender from Strongsville, Ohio, number 4, Trevor Ham. Sophomore midfielder from Lakewood, Ohio, number 6, Attila Nagy. Freshman defender from Chagrin Falls, Ohio, number 9, Zach Hoover. Senior midfielder from Kettering, Ohio, number 10, Rafael Davalos. Sophomore midfielder from Rocky River, Ohio, number 11, Dylan Keeling. Senior forward from Parma, Ohio, number 18, Joey Geither. Junior midfielder from Aurora, Ohio, number 21, Bryce Posner. Junior defender from Birmingham, Alabama, number 24, Armand Witt. And senior from Berea, Ohio, number 25, Danny Ruppel. BW is coached by Reed Ayers and assisted by Reese Canella. At this time, we ask that all fans please rise and kindly remove your caps as we honor America and those who protect our freedom at home and abroad with the playing of our national anthem.
Good evening and welcome in to the OAC home opener for your Baldwin Wallace Yellow Jackets. Today they're going up against the Otterbein Cardinals visiting from Westerville. I'm Cole McDaniel. Alongside me tonight is Kyle Klimo. Kyle, we were teammates back our freshman year of college, and now we're going to be broadcast partners for tonight's game. Happy to have you up here.
Thanks for having me.
And this game is a big one, as both of these teams come in with very similar records. Your Yellow Jackets at 8-5, and they're 1-1 in the conference. Otterbein at 7-4, and they are also 1-1 in the conference. So, Kyle, how important is it for both of these teams to, early on in the conference schedule, be level and then have this game? Like, what does it do to have to differentiate each other?
Oh, it makes a world of difference. I mean, starting off this conference, having a similar record in the season is very difficult to, go forward. You want to start off early and get the wins you need early so you can have a little bit of a leeway, per se, in the later half of the season. But, every game is important, so you have to win them all.
Right, and last year when these two teams met, it was down at Otterbein, and the Cardinals came away with a 4-1 victory. Danny Ruppel actually started off the scoring off of a Joey Geither assist, and then it all went in favor of the Cardinals as Pao Piang scored the first goal, and then Kamal Muhammad scored the next two, and Ty Borden got the final one. And so this is also a revenge matchup for the Yellow Jackets. I'm sure that plays a factor coming into this game as well.
Well, it definitely does. It plays a factor of, we want to come out and we want to win. And we'll see how that goes tonight.
And as we come out and start the game, looking at your starters for your Yellow Jackets, at the goalkeeper spot, number 38, Patrick Mihal. And then in the defense, you have across the back from left to right, Armand Witt, Zach Hoover, Trevor Ham, and Reed Watkins. In the midfield, you have Rafael Davalos, Bryce Posner, and Attila Nagy Jr. And then on the wings, Dylan Keeling, Joey Geither, and up top, Danny Ruppel. That's how the Yellow Jackets come out to start this game. And the Cardinals quickly have possession and come down on the attack. And the ball swung in and deflected, and that will be out for a corner. Looking at the starters for Otterbein, in goal, number 0, Colin Hoffman. Defender number 2, Zach Lancey. Defender number 4, Nathan Neal. Forward number 5, Paul Hensley. Defender number 6, Nicholas Fleury. Midfielder number 8, Eric Stuckey. Midfielder number 9, Pao Piang. Pao Piang. And then defender number 10, as that ball is up in the air and deflected around and finally cleared out. So continuing with the starting lineup for the Cardinals, defender number 10, Zach Barwick. Forward number 11, Kennedy Mensah. Forward number 12, Will Isaac. And midfielder number 13, Tiger Pham. And that ball swung in. Hoover cuts it out and Geither clears it up the field. And that's out for a Yellow Jacket throw. And both of these teams play very different styles, and this is a high-scoring BW attack as they average over 3 goals a game. And Otterbein very different in how they play, more defensive. They average only just over a goal a game, but they hold their opponents to under a goal a game. So very different playing styles. And that ball swung in, and it goes over Mihal to the back post, and that's one of those where you can't quite tell if it's a cross or a shot, but that one does float in, and Otterbein gets the scoring going early in this game.
Yeah, they definitely do, and it's it's one of those things that, as a goalkeeper from Mihal's standpoint, and there's not much you can do there. It floats just over his head from a ball that looks like it's going to be a cross, and either the wind takes it or whoever hit it mishit it, and goes in the back of the net. So unfortunate for the Yellow Jackets, but I think they'll come back and put a few on the board as well.
Yeah, and that's the sophomore forward, Paul Hensley, out there on the right wing. And it was one of those, like we said, it looked like it was a cross, looked like it should have been swinging in. I think he hit it more off of the outside of the boot, and it just floated over Mihal. And Pat was coming out to try to collect the ball and a little off his line. But again, one of those where he had no chance to get to that. And the Cardinals do take that early lead. And here they come again with the attack, and ball swung out wide. nearly out for a goal kick, but just saved on the end line, and the Yellow Jackets come the other way and can't really get the ball down and back for another throw.
Yeah, and like you said before, the two teams play very different play styles. Baldwin Wallace tends to play the more possessive game, I feel like, and possess the ball and then create the chances, whereas opposed to Otterbein is more focused on defending the ball very well and counterattacking to get their goals. And obviously, their goal tonight so far was not a counterattacking goal, but I feel like for the most part their goals are based off the counterattack.
Yeah, and Otterbein does play some of that playing style, but the other big thing for them is obviously they're only running with one up top tonight. That center spot that's Kennedy Mensah up there, the big center striker. But oftentimes Otterbein plays a style where they try to be very defensive, they try to bang it up the field, and then have the big, strong, physical forwards really manhandle the defenders and get in for the goals. Here comes a long throw as Bryce Posner's out there to take it. He launches it into the box. And Nagy flicks it on. There's a chance. Ball deflects around. And it's going to go in. Looks like it's going to be a last off of a Cardinals defender. And that's going to level it up here at 1-1.
Now we have ourselves a game. It's something that we talked about earlier. And, scoring early is definitely important from both teams. And kudos to the Yellow Jackets for scoring a goal 3 minutes after they concede. So good for them, and let's hope they score some more.
Yeah, and so just 3 minutes after Otterbein's Paul Hensley gets his third goal of the season, a fortunate bounce and deflection leads to the Yellow Jackets tying this one back up. And again, we mentioned it as soon as we started this broadcast. It's a situation where both of these teams come in very level based off of their records. And, it's been pretty competitive between these two teams over the last couple of years as well. So you expected a good game. I think we all did. Don't know if we expect it to be 1-1 after 5 minutes, though.
I don't think anybody expects it to be 1-1 in any game at 5 minutes in.
Then here comes the corner with the in-swinger. Mihal comes out and punches it away. It looks like Rafael Davalos tries to clear it. Cannot get it out, and Cardinals have it back in the attack, and they swing it into the box. Ball deflected around. That's going to be an offsides. And the Yellow Jackets escape there. The referees for tonight, John Seyfaz is the head referee, with his line judges being Vincent Ragone and Samir Lilaj. Ball played out to Ham. Ham looks for the through ball. He finds Keeling. Keeling not able to connect with Reed Watkins there, coming up from his right back spot. Ball deflected around. Cardinals regain possession of it. And a missed touch, and that's going to lead to a Yellow Jackets throw. On the women's side of things today, earlier this afternoon, the Yellow Jacket women were at Otterbein. They had a 2 o'clock kickoff. And the Otterbein Cardinals, known as a power right now, one of the two favorites, Ohio Northern and Otterbein. And, of course, those games coming back-to-back as the women fell to Ohio Northern and then had that tough one versus Otterbein today. And Otterbein up to 21 in the rankings at the moment. And the Yellow Jacket women fell by a score of 5-0.
Yeah, but like you said, Otterbein on the women's side has been a powerhouse for, the last, 5 years now? They've just dominated the conference.
They have, and they won the conference last year as Davalos floats the ball in there, and looks like a little bit of contact with Hoover's head as that ball was punched away, but good goalkeeping by Colin Hoffman to come out and send that out of the danger zone back at his own 6. Nagy applying the pressure, wins the ball back. He's got room to find Keeling. Keeling down the touchline, and he puts the cross in, but that one is headed away. Just as far as Nagy, though, he gets possession back, swings it over to Davalos. Out to Witt. Looks for Posner. Not able to get around the defender there. Here's that clearance, and that's what we mentioned. It's kind of the Cardinals' playing style. They'll sit back, they'll defend, and then they'll clear it out and try to look for the forwards running onto the ball and can get the hold-up play. And it's it's not a team that is typically going to possess out of the back. They're typically just going to try to launch it and get forward.
Yeah, and that speaks a little bit about the team, I think, as something develops.
Ball on the near touchline, and that one is deflected out as Nicholas Fleury was looking for the back heel.
Yeah, I think the play style of not possessing in the back speaks a little bit about the program. Not in a negative way, obviously. Just playing to your strengths. Maybe Otterbein's back line isn't the best at possessing the ball, so that's why they clear the ball.
And that cross in there around the 6. Not too much to trouble Mihal as nobody was coming in to knock it into the back of the net. So that one goes out harmlessly for a goal kick. Now, several other teams in action today in the conference as Wilmington traveled to Mount Union. And in double overtime, that one finished at 0-0. So that's a long game to have a 0-0 score line there. So both teams just picks up a point with that one. Marietta traveled to Heidelberg and got the 1-0 victory. And then in action right now, Muskingum at Ohio Northern and Capital is at John Carroll. Keeling swings the ball into the box. That one not able to get the whip on it that he wanted. Goes straight to the goalkeeper. And despite having goals at the moment, it still seems like both teams are kind of just feeling each other out. It's open space. Honestly, we're seeing a lot of counters at the moment. Here comes another shot. That one's hard, but saved by Mihal. And that one gets cleared out. Again, that was dangerous as Paul Hensley got another good shot. And he already has a goal so far in this game.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about, the teams filling each other out. And I agree. I think that there's a little bit more to that than what's going on currently. I personally feels like both teams are giving the other, for lack of better terms, too much respect and letting them have a little bit more space than usual. Because I know historically BW likes to press guys and be on them early. Otterbein has done the same thing in the past, so it's kind of odd to see that there's so much free space from both sides.
Yeah, and sometimes this Yellow Jackets team and their 4-3-3 formation, sometimes they have a tendency to, in games like this, get a little stretched out, pulled apart, and they just need to pull it back together and connect it and not have so much room from the defensive line to the forward line. And here's a ball on the outside, knocked around, but Ham will come up and clear that away for a throw-in.
Yeah, and that's an issue that has to be sorted out communicatively. It's not something that can be sorted out instantly, obviously, and Mihal does a good job of talking, as you can hear him on the field most of the time, but sometimes there has to be more demanding, telling people where to be, mark this guy, stuff like that that's just very simple, and it's exhaustive, but it's very much needed in games like these where it's going to be intense and where the Otterbein intends to stretch us out.
As Posner swung that across the field, Keeling was able to save it and looked for Ruppel, but not able to find him there. Otterbein comes back the other way and quickly gives away possession again. The Yellow Jackets get it back down on the floor. Watkins finds Ruppel. Ruppel cuts in and finds Davalos. Davalos, kind of a mainstay in that midfield position as he holds, helps defensively, and tries to get the ball down on the floor and help move possession around. He's a key factor there in the midfield. Ball through to Ruppel. Ruppel on. It's deflected away. He tries to get back to it. Geither gets a hit. And to the back post, Keeling with the diving header and not able to get that on frame.
It's a good run of build from the Yellow Jackets and good ball from Ruppel to find Geither, who plays a brilliant ball across the box. Unfortunately, I don't think Keeling was expecting it to actually get to where he was. So I think that's what caused the header to be a little bit off heel. But other than that, it was a very good play.
Yeah, the possessive build-up there was probably the best we've seen so far in this game. And that's something that head coach Reed Ayers, in his 18th year now, will like to see. He'll like it being down on the floor and that build-up that we had at the moment. If the Yellow Jackets can keep that up, there will be opportunities to get more shots off and try to get it on frame. Here we have a throw in now for the Yellow Jackets right in front of us.
First time in his career. Congratulations, Joey.
might have heard it over the PA. Joey Geither just last week was named the OAC Offensive Player of the Week, and that was his first time of his career for the senior, and a guy who's done a lot for this program, done a lot for this team. He's kind of played in every spot. Back in freshman year, he played a lot of outside back. He's played in the midfield, and then he spent a lot of the last 2 seasons up on the wing, picked up a lot of assists. But those 2 goals in that 3-0 victory over Capital kind of sealed the deal for him to get OAC Offensive Player of the Week. So happy to see him get those honors and the recognition he deserves.
Yeah, and he's always been a very good player, very smart. I mean, seeing him move around as much as he has is sure, as a player, you know, it hurts just because you get a little uncomfortable with having to move all the time. You never really get your foot settled in. But I think with the past 2 years, him being his, you know, mainstay as a forward player has definitely made him a better player.
And here's the official has a short conversation there. We'll come back and play with this free kick as Tiger Pham will look to swing it into the box. And that one's floated up to the back post. Dangerous. And headed wide, and looks like
the football team 4-1 overall and 3-1 in the OAC.
Looks like that one's going to be
Saturday, October 19th,
an offsides there.
That's what it looks like. I mean, but that's a great ball though too. So
it
I
was a
think,
brilliant
to be
ball.
honest with you, I think BW squeaks out on that one with the fact that the offsides call was there.
Well, and it looked like the ball might very well be headed down in just to the side of the goal, but it just skipped wide. As Keeling has a shot, and he had the curler, and it was on frame, just not enough pace behind it, and kind of floated into the keeper's arms. And look for the 1-2 there, and not successful for the Cardinals. One back by the Yellow Jackets. Nagy has it, and then Pham takes it off of him. Here comes Pham on the counterattack, the senior midfielder with the ball over, and the move by Mensah and the shot. And that one just goes wide, but there was a deflection. They're going to say it's off of the fingertips of Mihal and going to be out for a corner. Mihal doesn't like the call there.
Yeah, I can see where he's coming from. I mean, most of the time you usually hear something when it deflects, and from what I could tell, it only hit off of one player, and that was the person striking the ball. So I can't agree with the official all times, but you know, they are the officials, so that's how it goes sometimes.
Yeah, and despite not scoring off of that counter, that was another example of Otterbein just winning it in the midfield quickly, coming on that counter and getting the shot off as the ball swung to the back post, and that's way long. Not nearly enough power back on that header to redirect it, and that was all because of how deep the corner went. And Hoover, the freshman center back, looked for the through ball pass, and that was deflected back, and he was able to get the poke away, but out for a Cardinals throw. We've got 29 minutes left to go in this first half. For those just tuning in, the first goals both came in the first 5 minutes as the Cardinals got the first one, and then the Yellow Jackets were able to respond just a couple minutes later.
And both were very good goals. I mean, Otterbein's goal was very good. So was BW's. I mean, obviously BW's was a little more on the lucky side that it deflects off of a Otterbein player, but I mean, a goal is a goal nonetheless.
Yeah, and I think you and I both agree that it was off of an Otterbein player, but it looks like freshman defender Zach Hoover will be the one credited. He was the one closest to the area. As that corner floats in and just goes over Paul's head. That one's dangerous if somebody's right there on the back post, but for the Yellow Jackets, fortunate that that one goes long. Yeah, and I really thought that Yellow Jackets goal hit off of a Cardinals player. I'm assuming it was because Hoover was right there in the area and they weren't quite sure, and he got credited with the goal. So
that's a very big possibility, and I mean, I could swear it hit off somebody as well, but you know, there were 3 people in that vicinity, 2 of which were Otterbein players, and one of which was Zach Hoover. So if they give the ball to Zach, I mean, kudos to him. It's a goal for the stat sheet.
And we've had some pretty warm weather pretty much this whole season so far. And tonight, more of your typical conference weather as it's 49 degrees right now out there on the field. So, we're just coming off of that 90-degree surprise stuff at the beginning of October, but now under 50 degrees down there, and you see the whole Otterbein bench up and warming up, trying to stay warm down there.
Yeah, and that definitely does play a factor too, is the weather. With it being as warm as it's been over, October clearly hasn't been a typical month, considering the temperature has really not been below 60 degrees at all the entire month, and all of a sudden you come into a game like today where you're used to playing and training in the 60-degree heat, and then you come out and play in 49. That puts a very strenuous stuff on your body.
Yeah, definitely. This is the first time we've seen all the long sleeves broken out for these guys here playing at home, and we'll probably continue to see that, as I doubt we're going to get back up to 90-degree weather very regularly at this point anymore. And the turnover here could turn into a counter for the Cardinals. That's Will Isaac streaking down the left-hand side, a low cross in, and Ham able to clear it out. But the ball swung back in with the left-footed curler. And Fleury's ball just went long, and Armand Witt is able to chase it down and deflect it out. And that'll be a throw for the Cardinals. Ball in. That one's dangerous, but Ham able to get to it again, and he's done pretty well in there at clearing out the ball and making sure none of those low crosses get in, but it's coming right back at the Yellow Jackets as the Cardinals went on the break, but good shield to lead to a goal kick. Well done by Watkins.
Yeah, that was really good defending from Watkins, especially since they've had an interesting time with trying to deal with, a lot of the stuff that's happened from Otterbein tonight has been kind of from unforced errors that BW has had. The most recent one, obviously, on the right-hand side of the field, and the ball went wide or too deep on the cross. But that's something that has to be sorted out, and we can't keep. BW can't lose the ball consistently in the midfield every time, and we've had a few chances where we've gone through, and then there's been a number of times where we've just lost the ball in the midfield, and it's immediately coming back down their throats, and it's making the defenders have to work very hard tonight.
And the senior midfielder, Tiger Pham, will have a free kick here at just past the 30-yard line on the football lines, and he's a senior out of Powell, went to school at Olentangy Liberty, and he floats another good ball in at the back post, and that one just deflected out for a corner, and that's another good free kick we've seen from Tiger Pham that it's been pretty threatening so far.
Yeah, he's played some wonderful balls today, and I think that going into the second half, one of the things that I think Coach Harris has to talk about is, how do you eliminate him being a factor? Whether it's denying him the ability to play balls forward or just not giving him the time or space to even breathe, essentially.
And here comes that corner, and the in-swinger able to be headed out. Ruppel comes back and gets to it and clears it out with the right foot, and that is going to lead to a Cardinals throw. And we mentioned the playing style of Tiger Pham, and he's a captain for his team, and he's a leader there in the midfield. But one thing for sure, if we're talking facial hair, he has a great mustache down there. I know the people watching on the broadcast probably can't see his mustache from here, but trust me, it's a good one, folks.
I think it's a little bit of an overstatement. I think it's something that needs to be worked on a little bit because it looks kind of mangly, but to each their own, and if that's how he likes his facial hair, be my guest. I'm a beard guy, so I prefer that, but mustaches are still good nonetheless.
For those who are football fans, the Jaguars' current quarterback Gardner Minshew has a great mustache. He gets some love for that. I think Otterbein Cardinals soccer needs to pay attention to this Tiger Pham mustache. It's a good one. Pham back on the ball. He plays it back into the defense, and Otterbein looking at swinging around. Pham plays the ball up. but it's intercepted. Davalos gets it to Ruppel, 1-2, and then it's up to Geither. Geither running on it. He's going to just get to it outside the 18, cuts back. Ball slips around, but Geither able to stay with it, finds Witt. Witt to Davalos, to Posner, and out the other side to Watkins. Watkins comes forward, looks for the back post ball. It's up to Geither, and Geither trying to save that one, and that's going to go out for a goal kick.
Yeah, and I think Watkins wanted to play that ball more deeper into the box as opposed to hitting basically the 18 and dropping. But I think it's just one of those things that he hit too much curl on it, and it caused Geither to have to come back as opposed to running onto the ball and getting the header.
And here we have our first substitution as the game, as senior midfielder Rafael Davalos will go to the bench, and the freshman Brandon Garibaldi will check onto the game, and that means Joey Geither will move from his left wing spot back into the midfield. As we said earlier, he's a guy who can play anywhere, and he moves in the midfield while Garibaldi's on the left wing. The Cardinals swinging the ball around. Looks for a long ball to the back post. Watkins able to get up to it. That one's going out for a Cardinals throw.
And I think that's an interesting move to move Geither back in the midfield. I think that he's done wonders for the Yellow Jackets up top, and Brandon Garibaldi's been a pretty well-rounded midfielder for the Yellow Jackets, and is just very crafty on the ball and has good vision, so he can play some decent ball. So I'm kind of shocked to see that he's not in the center of the park, but at the same time, he is one of the smaller people in the field, and Otterbein's central midfielders are both very tall and very physical.
Right, and a factor in that does have to do with Davalos, not a guy who usually comes out very much. He's been a little banged up the last couple weeks, so he is getting a little bit of a rest right now at the moment. So when you have a guy who doesn't usually come out of your midfield very often go out, you do kind of have to think about the strategy of that. And Coach Ayers does trust the senior Joey Geither to step in and play a big factor. And of course, he just moved in to midfield. He's going to run around at about the 8, the center mid, and that means Posner slides back into the 6 and plays the center defensive mid spot. And that's Posner looking out to Keeling. Keeling with a good touch. Moves inside and finds Nagy's feet. Nagy with the move to get around the defender and find Posner. And the Yellow Jackets are pretty consistently swinging the ball around the field at the moment. Pretty good ball movement. Not able to get in with Garibaldi there, and it's cleared out by the Cardinals.
Yeah, it's been a good game so far. I mean, it's been back and forth, and I think that's something that you don't really get to see too much in soccer, especially at the professional level nowadays, as most teams either score one goal and park the bus, or it becomes an all-out slaughter, as the U.S. did last night. So, it's exciting to see the game that's actually intense and going both ways consistently.
And through ball by Garibaldi, not able to get through, and the Cardinals come back and get, and here comes that quick counter. It's kind of a track meet, and I know it happens a lot in conference. It happens in college soccer, but there's a lot of that factor where it is a bit of a track meet, and it just comes quickly back the other way when it's lost on the other side of the field.
Yeah, pace and physicality does play a factor in it, especially on the defensive end, playing against people that are faster than you. It kind of makes you have to think about, okay, how can I put myself in an opportune position to not get beat and go from there.
Garibaldi with the in-swinger, and that one's going to just roll out for an Otterbein goal kick, and then we're going to have a substitution, the first one of the game for Otterbein.
Now entering
and it looks like the goal scorer, Paul Hensley, going to go off. He's been pretty dangerous so far. Not only did he get a goal, but got a couple shots off by moving inside, and coming on for him is number 7, Gabriel Schirach, the freshman forward out of Akron. Tonight's Yellow Jacket men's soccer game is being brought to you by Dan Andrews and Olympic Forest Products, a global recycling company, Papa John's Pizza in Berea, the official pizza provider of BW Athletics. Call us at 891-1900 or go online at papajohns.com. The Oswald Company for all of your insurance and risk management needs. Nagy with it in the center midfield. Looks for Ruppel. Ruppel just off sides as Otterbein, a good job holding that line as saw Ruppel going, and he was probably off there, but just by a step. That's one of those tight ones.
Yeah, it was definitely a tight call, and good job to the referee for seeing that. I mean, one of the things that makes Danny so dangerous is his pace, and I think that his pace got the best of him there, and he just a foot off sides.
Yeah, and one thing the Yellow Jackets struggle with is they don't have much size on the attack. The front line's not tall, so against big center backs, you can't just launch the ball up and expect them to win headers. And at times we have seen the Yellow Jackets in games they've struggled in. If they've been trying to get up in the air too much, that has been a problem. So far tonight, moving the ball around well on the floor. And I think more opportunities for Ruppel will come as that one is launched from way out. Pretty optimistic there from Will Isaac, the freshman. But that one sails pretty comfortably over, and Mihal just lets it go.
Yeah, in regards to the way that BW size factor, it definitely makes a difference. You can't play the ball over the top, especially against a team like Otterbein, where most of their defenders probably are a minimum of 6 feet tall, and Danny's a max of 5'9" on a good day. So, it makes it hard to play the ball over the top, and if you're going to play the ball over the top, it has to be into a corner where you give Danny an opportunity to run onto the ball and beat somebody in a foot race, because let's be honest, nobody's going to beat that kid in a foot race.
16 minutes left to go here in the first half. There's a foul, and that one's going to be against the Cardinals, and it's going to give Yellow Jackets time to set back up, but they're going to take a quick free kick, and then Nagy decides to kind of squander that away and launches it straight into the defense, as Keeling not going to win that header against the defenders of Otterbein. And streaking down the left wing again is Isaac, and he definitely likes to get forward and move with pace. Well done by Watkins to stay in front, though, and put in a nice slide tackle to get it out. Cardinals with the throw, though. Ball back to Stuckey, and ball played through, and that one's going to roll out for a goal kick.
Yeah, that's definitely good defending from Watkins. It's with a team like Otterbein, who is very fast. Keeping them on the wing is definitely important, because they're not nearly as dangerous as they are in the center of the park. So congrats to Watkins for keeping him on the wing. Obviously, there are flukes with that, as Otterbein's goal came from the wing and caused BW to concede. But for the most part, keeping players on the wing is definitely the smarter move, as they're less dangerous.
And Danny Ruppel in a foot race, he's not going to quite get to that. Excuse me, Danny's actually on the right wing. It was Geither who was in the foot race, and Danny got fouled as he got to that one here on the outside, and that's going to be a pretty good position there for the Yellow Jackets with this free kick. What do you think would happen here? Do you think he's going to try to hit it on frame or curl it into the back post for a header?
Well, it depends on who's taking it, right? I think that if Danny takes it, as it looks like he's stepping off, maybe, as he's coming back though, I think that if you're Danny, you try and hit the in-swinger and curl it in the back post. But I think if you're Attila, personally, I think Nagy should be in the box as opposed to taking the free kick, as he is one of the tallest players on the field and has good aerial awareness.
Yeah, Nagy decides to hit it, and he hits it low and straight to the goalkeeper, and that one's a poor free kick nonetheless. And I agree with you, Nagy, the 6'4" midfielder, I think he's got to be in the box, and he's got to be using his size as a physical presence.
Well, he definitely has to be in the box. There's no denying that he has good ball-playing abilities. But I think that in a situation like that, where you're tied at 1-1 in a game, you're gifted a free kick from a very, very opportune spot to score, not having your big guys in the box and not putting a cross in is very unwise, I think, as it gives you less chance to score and put yourself ahead. I think Danny should have taken that one, but maybe that was something they discussed as Attila and Danny were both over the ball.
Yeah, and I agree. I think Danny should have been on it. When you have a prolific goal scorer, also a guy who just has the experience of, he also picks up a bunch of assists. Not only does he score goals, he is unselfish and passes it off as well. So when you have a guy like that, probably want him taking it. And if you did just want to cross it and have an outswinger instead, you do have guys like Dylan Keeling down there who hit corners and a lot of set pieces, so I agree with you. Ball in the possession of the Cardinals as they're coming back down the attack, and the move tried to be made. And that was Schirach, and he could not get by Witt. And Witt, the junior from Alabama, is playing pretty well there at the left back spot. He's had a pretty good year so far.
Now entering the game for Otterbein, number 17, Kyle Haberkorn.
Another substitution here for the Cardinals. Checking out of the game is Will Isaac. And coming in is number 17, the sophomore forward, Kyle Haberkorn.
You know, you have to give BW credit, too, from the back line because, I mean, for the past 4 years, they've had very experienced defenders starting in the back, and I think this is the first year that they've had basically an entire starting back line of underclassmen, with Trevor Ham and Reed Watkins being sophomores and Zach Hoover and Armand Witt being 2 freshmen. I think they've done a very good job for being as young as they are.
And I can hear it, and I'm sure you can as well, as you hear there are fireworks going off in the background, and you can see the smoke kind of rolling over the stadium here at the moment. Again, that won't affect the guys down there on the field, but for those who maybe have a good position that can see it there in the stands, they might be getting a fireworks show as well out there in the distance. But definitely one of those things you don't expect to see too much or hear too much in October.
Yeah, there's a festival going on at the fairgrounds today, or this weekend. I don't remember what it is, but you know, there is something going on, so I'm assuming that's where the fireworks are coming from.
And I'll tell you what, we had fireworks to start this game in the first 5 minutes, as that's when the first 2 goals came. And again, 1-1 here with 10 minutes left to go here in the first half. And a look in on some of the other games currently happening in the OAC. Right now, Ohio Northern, they have Muskingum visiting them, and that's not a game at this point. 4-0 so far with 13 minutes left to go. That crossed low and in and deflected out, and again, the Yellow Jackets escape as that's dangerous, rolling across to your 6. Keeling able to play it out, but again, they still have another half to go, and Ohio Northern looking like they're going to pretty comfortably beat Muskingum. And then another game currently going on at the moment is Capital at John Carroll. In that game right now, it looks like they have the wrong link attached. So once I can get you that score, I will update you of that game as well.
Now entering the game for Baldwin Wallace University, number 7, Andras.
And there it is. John Carroll, they lead 1-0. And that's a pretty good game there, as John Carroll's had a good season to start. Capital's still a good team, not quite as good as what they were the year prior. And the Yellow Jackets just beat them 2 games ago, 3-0. But again, we'll continue to update as those games continue to play as well. Again, John Carroll with the 1-0 lead over Capital at home.
Yeah, and I think, John Carroll's always been a good program. Historically, they've been very dangerous every year in the conference. Capital, I think, their biggest issue this year has been the loss of Chewy Gordon, who was a senior goal scorer last year, and I believe he led the conference and was ranked very highly in the nation for goals scored at the Division III level. So, not having him, it definitely hurts Capital a little bit, but it's an adjustment year for them, and I think that after this year, once they figure out how they want to play, that they'll be a very good team again.
Right, and no matter what program you are, it's always hard to lose a prolific scorer. For Capital, losing Chewy Gordon was a big loss for them. Otterbein back on the attack, and that one is deflected off of the shot of Gabriel Schirach, and that's going to be out for another corner. So again, the corner is really going in favor of the Cardinals at the moment as they're getting down, and the Yellow Jackets doing a good job to get their bodies in front of the shots. As that will make it 8 now so far for the Cardinals to the Yellow Jackets 5 shots. But this is their 6th corner, and the Yellow Jackets don't have a corner yet in this game. So this is pretty threatening at the moment for the Cardinals. Here comes the in-swinger up to the back post, and that one's headed out by Attila Nagy. Well done at the back post to get that away, as Schirach was lurking at the back post.
Yeah, we talked about size a little bit ago, and I think that with the size that Otterbein has in general, BW overall isn't a very tall team. So giving up corners consistently is going to eventually cause you issues, as eventually somebody's going to get onto that and somebody's going to put it in the back of the net. It's not something you want to have happen, but the more corners you have, the more opportunities you have to score. So I think BW has to figure out a way to eliminate the corner play from Otterbein.
And that attempted cross from Flory was shanked out of bounds, and that's going to lead to a Yellow Jackets goal kick. So we're under 7 left to go here in this first half, and not really many substitutions for either of these teams at the moment. Again, part of that does play into the factor of, it's gotten colder weather-wise. These guys' legs aren't bothering them as much when it's cooler out as compared to the likelihood of cramps when it's warm. Another thing is, hey, you're in conference, and they hope that the starters can really make some things happen. Garibati coming in, swings at the back post, the cross in and the follow. And that's Andras Fabian, and they're going to say he's offsides on the back post, and that's unfortunate for the Yellow Jackets, as it looked like they were about to have a goal. And Fabian, who had just recently checked in for the Yellow Jackets, the freshman out there on the left wing, just offsides. That one's a tight call.
Yeah, it's a very tight call, and I think that, obviously I wasn't in the referee's position, so I can't say whether he's right or wrong. But, other than that, beautiful finish from Fabian and a beautiful ball from Garibati to even create that chance. So BW has to feel good about that going in and going forward.
Yeah, and I think we've seen that several times. We've seen the Yellow Jackets keep the ball on the floor pretty well tonight, move it around, find the through ball and out wide, and then just that in-swinging cross has been dangerous, and it's been there so far in this game. A couple of the crosses have not come off well. That one was a beautiful delivery by Garibati, and if they can continue to find that, it will work out well. That through ball, though, dangerous, and the shot close in. It's tipped by Mihal and cleared away by Ham. And I'll tell you what, not only is that a great save by the senior goalkeeper Mihal, but Ham has been clearing about everything that's come into that 6, and he's played great back there, center back.
Yeah, he's done a very good job, especially last year. He did a good job last year, so you can't complain about the kid as a player. He's very good. He's tall. He does what he needs to defensively, and he definitely helps keep BW in the games in tight situations.
And Ham was second-team all-conference as a freshman, and there he's the same guy that came up big for the Yellow Jackets as he flicks that header away and gets that out of trouble.
And that's also like what we talked about on the free kick on BW's end. With Ham being as tall as he is, he's also somebody that was in the box, or should be in the box, and I don't think I saw him in the box on the free kick, but that could also just be because of the fact that you really don't want to give up him as a center back position if they counter.
And Ham's header is straight up, but Watkins, I think he tried to flick that on, but it came off wrong and went straight down. Fortunate Mihal was quick to his reactions and got out, able to pick it up, and the Yellow Jackets reset on offense. That through ball from Hoover, though, loose again. It's going to be coming right back for the Cardinals, and that's one where the freshman defender is going to want back, and he's going to need to figure out that those straight balls right up the middle oftentimes will get picked up, and it's going to be coming right back down your throat.
Yeah, it's one of those things that, especially at this level of play, playing balls down the center of the park is not the way to go forward. Obviously, if you have a centerman that's completely and utterly open from either lack of defending from the other team or
and that shot there in the midfield, that came in hard from number 9, Pao Piong. And that was a huge save by Pat Mehall. And right before that play happened, there was a substitution as Danny Rupel is going to take a quick rest. And it's probably the last substitution of the half as Jared Webb, the freshman forward, checks into the game. Now the Cardinals with the corner. And that ball went to the near post. Geither was there. And a lot of these headers, we've seen the Yellow Jackets do a good job at not letting the Cardinals, who have some pretty good height in there, get to the headers and head it in. But a lot of those have been flicked on, especially when it's towards the near post. That's pretty dangerous. The Cardinals have another opportunity with this corner. It's at the back post. That one's going to go long and out and pretty harmless. And now we have 2.5 minutes left to go.
Yeah, and I think we talked about the corners and how dangerous they are. One of the things that I think Otterbein needs to figure out if they want to continue to go forward and advance and win this game is how to play a ball decently from the corner, because every ball that they've had has either been very poorly hit, very under hit, or incredibly over hit. So they haven't found like the niche sweet spot of how to deliver the ball in for them to actually get onto it. And defensively, BW has done a good job of making sure that if an Otterbein player does win the header, that they don't win it cleanly, which is very good to see, as considering the past few years has been very hard for BW to do that.
Tonight's Yellow Jackets men's soccer game is being brought to you by Jimmy John's in Middleburg Heights. We're freaky fast, so your sandwich arrives freaky fresh. Call us at 440-625-0745 or go online at jimmyjohns.com. Crown Plaza in Middleburg Heights. When you're looking for a quality place to stay before or after any Yellow Jacket contest, choose the Crown Plaza. Medical Mutual of Ohio, the health care provider of Baldwin Wallace University. And here we have a corner kick. We've got a minute left to go, and this is probably really the last opportunity for the Cardinals here. Let's see what they can do, as they're going to, again, try to hit that in-swinger, as it's number 6, Nicholas Fleury, who goes over to take it.
And that might be the second to last, as Otterbein's had quite a few corners after the other consistently.
And this one, Nagy a little slow to get that out, but he's able to turn and clears it out with the right foot, so you might be right. Again, this isn't another corner, but here comes a throw. It's a dangerous spot. Here's an opportunity to try to swing it in, but Garibaldi able to deflect it out off of the Stuckey cross. 20 seconds left. Piong with a nice step over, and that one was ambitious and not able to get enough on it, and that one goes just by the near post, and now we're down to 10 seconds, and Mihal's going to take his time, and that is going to wrap up this first half. And there you have it. As we go into halftime, your Yellow Jackets are tied with the visiting Otterbein Cardinals 1-1 in this game. Once again, Kyle Klimo here. I'm Cole McDaniel. Kyle, what are your final thoughts on that first half?
I think the first half was it started off very hot and very energetic. I think BW gave Otterbein a lot of space to do things that normally I think BW shouldn't allow them to do. One of the things that I think BW struggled with most was clearances. Everybody trying to kill the ball per se, and all you really need to do is get a nice solid connection on the ball. So I think if they focus on actually just making a good connection, that they can eliminate the missed clearance. And other than that, just they have to score goals. Otterbein on the other side playing very well, playing the way that they want to play, and I think it's been hard for BW to deal with. But I think going forward that they'll figure it out, and we'll have an actual very competitive game.
We're going to take a break here for halftime. Make sure to stay with us to pay attention to the second half action here in this matchup between your Yellow Jackets and the Otterbein Cardinals, as we're here on BWYellowJackets.com. Thanks for tuning in, and make sure to stay with us for second half action.
Hi, I'm Christy Conrad, BW class of 2007. As an employee owner of Oswald Companies and one of over 50 BW alumni within our organization, I am honored to support our mission of caring for the needs of our clients each and Exciting things are happening at BW, as well as the city it calls home. We are proud to serve as a valued partner along each step of the way as BW's risk management and insurance provider. For more information, visit oswaldcompanies.com. Good luck this season, and go Jackets!
Halftime soccer score updates. Mount Union University and Wilmington played to a 0-0 tie in double overtime today. Marietta University and Heidelberg squared off with Marietta winning 1-0. And at the half, Ohio Northern is leading Muskingum 4-0, and John Carroll University is leading Capital 1-0.
And we're back with the second half action, this matchup between your Baldwin Wallace Yellow Jackets and the Otterbein Cardinals. This one's sitting at 1-1 as they're coming out for the second half. And Kyle, what are your keys to the second half for the Yellow Jackets?
For the Yellow Jackets, I think the key to them is going to be eliminating Otterbein's midfield as much as possible, being more prepared for the ball that's going to be played over the top from them, from the back. And then, obviously, as we talked about before, the break, having a better chance of clearing the ball effectively as opposed to swinging and just barely hitting it or swinging and missing. For Otterbein, I think that, for them, they have to continue to keep pressing forward. I think, to be honest, that they've had the more quality chances in the game. Obviously, BW had a chance that was scored, but it was called offsides. So I think, other than that, though, I think Otterbein has had more opportunities and played a little bit better soccer tonight. And I think that it'll be interesting to see what happens in the second half.
Once again, that's Kyle Klemo, and I'm Cole McDaniel. And as we're about to get this second half underway, you mentioned that Otterbein has dominated the shot category as they have 12 to the Yellow Jackets 5 shots on goal, though only 5 compared to the Yellow Jackets 3. So the difference for the Yellow Jackets is with the few shots they've had, most have gone on frame. Otterbein has launched a lot from way out, been pretty optimistic, and put a lot high. So despite having a lot of shots, only a couple have really tested Mihal so far. And as we come out here, not really many changes, but Davalos, again, mentioned that he's been a little bit banged up. He does not start the second half for the Yellow Jackets, so Geither remains in the midfield, and that means Dylan Keeling is pushed out to the left-hand side, and Garibaldi will be over on the right wing. As we're underway, Geither's the one with it initially, and he tries to play it back, and Keeling tried to cut inside, and that one splits between Keeling and Witt, and the Cardinals have an early throw. And for the Cardinals, it looks like for the most part they're starting how they started at the beginning of the first half, aside from number 7, Gabriel Schirach, is out there manning the left wing position. The throw in down the line, Witt able to deflect that away, just poke it away from Kennedy Mensah. And Mensah, a guy who, he is that big hold up. Number 9, the center striker up there, who he's gotten a couple shots off, but so far the Yellow Jackets defense has dealt with him pretty well in this game. And a quick turnover, a transition, and Pyong gets it caught under his foot, and Nagy able to come away with it, and Posner with a good through ball up to Garibaldi, and the freshman out there on the wing looking for Geither. He decides to take it himself with the step over, cuts back, and then he finds Geither. Geither taking his time. Ball back to Posner. Posner to Witt. A 1-2 with Keeling. And just ahead of Witt, and that clearance is deflected off of him. And finally out, but only as far as Posner. Closer to the middle of the field. And brings it down. And Watkins comes in, and that's deflected off of a side tackle. Good challenge, but Watkins able to get it back. Ball up to Ruppel, and a lot of grabbing there. Ruppel able to chase it down, though. Gets to his left foot, plays it back to Nagy, and just cut out right before Nagy had an opportunity. And Garibaldi not able to get to it, and off of that touch, going to be a throw for the Cardinals, and there was an opportunity right there for the Yellow Jackets.
Yeah, and I think that I would have liked to see Danny be a little bit more selfish there. I know that we've talked about in the first half that Danny is one of those players that he's really special for the fact that he's a natural-born goal scorer, but on top of that, he also knows when to play the ball and get the assist to make his team's life a lot easier. I think that was one of those times, however, that I think I would have liked to see him hit the ball and put it on frame because he was in the box. I think despite being a little off-center of the field, I think that he would have had a good chance of hitting it as it was on his left foot. And he's naturally left-footed, so I think he would have done a very good job to at least test the goalkeeper some more or put it in the back of the net.
And Danny Ruppel sitting on 34 points this season. He's got 15 goals and 4 assists. Dylan Keeling going to hit in this corner. It's floated in, and it was looking towards Nagy, but headed away by the Cardinals. Posner runs it down. A lot of pressure there as he tries to play it away. It's deflected off of Hensley, and it's going to be a Yellow Jackets throw. But like you mentioned, that's probably one where you do want to see Rupel be more selfish. He cuts in on that left foot, and that's when he's always so dangerous to hit it. And it looked like he had an opportunity there. Probably would have had to hit it through some defenders, but you take the chance of a deflection trying to get on frame. So I agree with you, Rupel. In that situation, probably could have been a little bit more selfish, but he is a guy who's just an all-around goal scorer, and he knows how to get the goals and find the guys to make that happen as well. There's a reason why he's the all-time leading goal scorer, all-time leader in points, and he's also now up there in assists as well. So all three categories, he's had a very successful career so far. Here we have free kick for the Yellow Jackets. Rupel standing over the ball on the far side of the field. This is one where they'll probably look to swing it in. They look towards that back post where Ham is. And it's floated in right to the back post. Hoover gets to it and heads it in, and it goes in the goal, but that one's going to be offsides, and I think that one was pretty clear as it looked like Hoover was offsides the whole way.
Yeah, I think he was just a step behind the line from the get-go. I mean, that should be a really big confidence booster for BW though, as they had a goal that was called back for offsides just before halftime, and then within the first 5 minutes have another one with the same reason, or called back for the same reason. So I think that gives BW some really big confidence to go on and say, yeah, we can win this game, and to keep pressing forward.
And the goal called back for offsides that you referenced at the end of the first half was Andras Fabian, the freshman who was out across from Garibaldi, came in, and he was just about a yard offsides. And that one was called back, and there Hoover was offsides. And I do have to give credit to the Cardinals as they've held their line pretty well, especially off of set pieces like in that situation. But the opportunities are there. Attila Nagy kind of with the toe blow there as he went with the left-footed poke, not able to direct it to either side, goes straight into the hands of Hoffman.
Yeah, and we talked about, right before the half officially started, the quality of chances from both teams with the number of shots and in terms of shots on goal. I think that despite BW having more of a higher percentage of shots on goal, I still think that Otterbein has had more quality chances of their shots that have been on target, especially when a few of BW's shots have been kind of just swings and hopes.
And the Yellow Jackets have been called offsides 4 times, and like we referenced, 2 of those were goals that were called back. Otterbein's only been offsides once so far. Ball being swung around the back line. That's Neal. Neal out to Fleury. Up to Pyong. Pyong with the turnaround Posner and feeds it to Lanzi. And that through ball from Tiger Pham was a good one. It was floated up to Mensah, and Mensah able to bring it down and tried to knock it down to Lanzi, and Lanzi off of the cross in was deflected out. So that's going to be another corner for Otterbein. And tell you what, there have been a lot of corners so far for Otterbein. Yellow Jackets, not too many opportunities from the corner side of things. Here comes the in-swinger. It's another good ball in, but well defended by the Yellow Jackets, and that's something they've done well all day so far, is dealt with taller men from Owen. That's not good to see as Watkins pulls up, and that's his hamstring. And that's one where Rupel had the break started, and he played it through, and as Watkins was running down, you saw him grab his hamstring, and he went down hard, and you hate to see that for Watkins, the sophomore right back.
Yeah, it's nobody likes injuries, and it's something that's unfortunate to deal with, especially when Watkins has played a really good game today so far. As you talked about, you saw him start the breakaway from Rupel's through ball, and as soon as he started increasing in pace, you could see him grab his hamstring a little bit, and you saw him slow down for about 2 seconds and then try and keep going, and then obviously the rest is, he pulls the hamstring, I think, and it's unfortunate, but it's something that BW will have to deal with, and it'll be interesting to see who they put on the right backside for Reed Watkins.
Well, I can pretty much tell you who's likely to be the guaranteed one to go in. Obviously, there's a possibility of of putting in Rafael Davalos back in. Of course, he's been banged up, but the backup right back is senior defender Jake Woodruff. So he's also an option as he's down there in the corner warming up as well, and I think he's always an option to go in at right back. It looks like Davalos will be coming on, and we see Geither now move to a different position. We've seen him at every line so far as he started off at left wing today, moved into the midfield when Davalos subbed off, and now Geither back to where he was his freshman year at outside back.
Yeah, and I think that'll be potentially very good for BW. I mean, obviously, we're not talking in terms of injuries here, but I think Joey's always been a natural defender, and I think that's where he's usually shined the most. Maybe not in terms of stats or anything like that, but I think he's been overall a very, very good defender historically throughout his career. So I think him being back there will definitely aid in BW and their attempt to go on and win this game, and hopefully that Reed Watkins gets well very soon.
Yeah, and hopefully that was more of a cramp than a pull or something worse. We wish him the best in his recovery, but likely with that injury, Watkins will not be back tonight. But again, we mentioned it. It's interesting. Geither, 1 week removed from being OAC Offensive Player of the Week. He's now finding himself at right back, and he's very capable of that. Pyong streaking down the field. Recovery from Garabati, able to throw off that pass. And a lot of contact there. Official lets it go, and that's out for a goal kick.
Yeah, and you talk about the contact between players, and it's something you always want to see as soccer as a contact sport. I think that too many times referees either let it get too far out of hand, though, or they don't let there be any physicality in the game, which makes it very hard for teams to play, especially in the OAC, which is a very physical conference.
Yeah, and I was just about to point that out, and you read my mind. And the OAC it's not just a fast conference, but it is very physical, and you see that game in and game out, no matter who the teams are down there on the field. That attack goes astray for Otterbein, and Mihal able to collect the ball and push up his team. Tonight's Yellow Jackets men's soccer game is being brought to you by the Cleveland Clinic Sports Health Division, the healthcare provider for BW Athletics. American International. When you require a company with proven performance, rely on American International. The Courtyard by Marriott and Town Place Suites in Middleburg Heights. Have you stayed at a Marriott today? Ball played in through the box. It's going to leak out the other side. And the effort by Schirach to keep that in, kind of got his feet caught up on the ball and goes off of his heel, and that puts the Yellow Jackets in a good position to try to put the long throw in. And Bryce Posner, a guy who doesn't have a super long throw, but he can at least get it to the near post, and this is where Nagy's positioned to try to flick it on. The ball comes in, gets flicked on by the Cardinals, bounces around, Keeling's able to collect it, finds Garabati, but that one goes out. And that was number 10, Zach Barwick, the senior defender. He tried to poke it around the defender and make a move. That one goes out of bounds, and the Yellow Jackets again with another corner. With another throw. Here down in the corner as it's thrown to Nagy. He's holding up the ball. He's doubled now. And that one is going to now be a corner. Well done by Nagy to not only hold up the play there and keep possession, but get out of the way after it was cleared.
Yeah, I think I would have liked to see him play back to Hoover, though, and have Hoover put a ball into the box as opposed to giving Otterbein a chance to reset for the corner kick.
Nagy with the header. Doesn't come the direction he wanted as Keeling tries to put it back in. Ball comes out to Pham. Ham-tracks back on it, though. Is able to win it back, and here's Rupel. Rupel with the opportunity and a low-driven ball towards the back post. And Rupel likes to do that oftentimes, hit that low-driven ball back across, and that one just goes wide by a couple feet.
And you have to give Otterbein credit. Danny's been one of the best forwards in the OAC for the past 3 years, and obviously will probably be another one of the greats, either all time or in general. in the OAC, and Otterbein's done a pretty good job tonight of keeping him basically neutral. And I mean, Danny's done a good job of possessing the ball for the Yellow Jackets, but he hasn't created as much as I had hoped of him to create.
Yeah, it has been a pretty quiet night so far for Rupel, and that's sometimes when it gets a little dangerous, when you think, oh, okay, Danny isn't having a big night, you're fine, and that's when the opposition, if you just switch off for just a moment with his natural goal-scoring ability, that's when he zings you, and he gets one. And right now, Otterbein playing well against him, kept it pretty quiet, but you still have 33 minutes left to go in the second half, and there's a lot of time left for Rupel to try to get something going. There's Geither getting in and able to clear it away, but it's deflected and stays with the Cardinals. Ball chipped through, and that's going to go harmlessly out for a throw-in. Again, as mentioned, several teams in action at the moment. A couple played earlier, Wilmington and Mount Union. A scoreless draw in double overtime. Marietta got a 1-0 win at Heidelberg. And then games going on right now. Ohio Northern at home hosting Muskingum. They've got a 6-0 lead. So that one definitely a blowout at the moment there. Here's a ball in, low and across, and that's going to be cleared out for the Yellow Jackets. And aside from this game, there is one other one in action. So 3 currently going on at the moment. And that is John Carroll hosting Capital, and in the second half, approaching the 60th minute, that remains at 1-0 in favor of John Carroll. So that one's still a pretty close game. This one a close game. The only one that's a blowout at the moment is the Ohio Northern Muskingum game. So really, for the most part, this Saturday has been full of very close competitive games here in the OAC.
Yeah, and the OAC is always a conference that's very competitive. We talked about the physicality standpoint, but I think, in the past, if you look at history, the OAC has always been very competitive. I think that in the most recent years, the conference has kind of not dwindled per se in terms of lack of competitiveness, but there have definitely been teams that have shined way more. And I think this year has been a rebirth of the whole. Every game that you play is very competitive, and it's going to be a tough one to win.
And the contact there between 2 senior midfielders for Baldwin Wallace, Rafael Davalos, and for Otterbein, Tiger Pham. And Davalos knocks Pham to the ground, and that one is called a controversial free kick, as all the fans did not like that one here, and gives Pham another opportunity to loft this one into the box. And that he does to the back post. That one floated up and headed, no power, really no great direction there from Schirach's header, and Mihal comes out and collects it.
Yeah, I think that's a foul that is more or less, for lack of a better term, soft. I mean, obviously soccer's a contact sport. Both Pham and Davalos were, initiating contact and wanting the contact. So I think that it's something you could have let play, but something develops here.
And onside, but good recovery from the Yellow Jackets, as that one was dangerous, as Kennedy Mensah was streaking down the right-hand side. It looked like he could have taken a shot earlier. He decided to keep dribbling and try to get closer in, and Hoover able to recover, and he got in the final deflection. It's going to lead to another corner, but that was an opportunity there for the Cardinals to get a pretty good shot off if it weren't for the Yellow Jackets' recovery.
Yeah, and I think you said it perfectly. I think that, Mensah should have hit the ball maybe a touch sooner, and I think it would have really tested Mihal and given opportunity a really good chance.
That ball low and dangerous. Mihal able to get a diving save with his foot, and it just deflects it out for just a moment. As Ham's in a battle right now with Schirach, and looks like Schirach's going to win that one. And ball played around for Otterbein. Here's the goal scorer, Hensley. Makes a move, but Keeling sticks a foot in there. And Pyong, he tried to strike that one, and that was one of those where it was kind of knuckling it. It didn't have too much movement aside from dropping at the end, and it dropped straight into the arms of Mihal. Hoover over to Davalos, who checks his shoulder and takes some contact there. He kind of just avoided the tackle, able to get out to Ham. Ball played long. Looking for the direction of Keeling. Keeling not the first one to get to it, but able to get a touch on it, but it goes back to the Cardinals, and they play it away down to Mihal. And the standings right now is that it looks like Ohio Northern's going to pretty much comfortably get a win, and so they'll move to 3-0 in the conference, and so they'll be the only team sitting at 3-0 to start, and they'll still be atop the standings. Again, Wilmington at the moment in the current standing sitting at second, with John Carroll in third, Mount Union in fourth, and then these two teams at fifth and sixth respectively. Here's an opportunity. And again, Otterbein coming off of that counter once again, and we talked about it at the beginning of the game. This is a team that's going to look to win it in the midfield. They're not going to be the big possession team. You're not going to see them usually outpossess another team, but they will try to be quick when they win it in the midfield. They had an opportunity there, but Mensa, that was going wide all the way.
Yeah, I think he rushed it a little bit. I think he saw the opportunity and realized that from the last opportunity that he had that he needed to hit it sooner. And I think he rushed himself and hit the ball at a very awkward angle. And that's what caused the ball to go wide. So he's going to be kicking himself for a little bit in terms of how he hit that one very poorly.
That's almost one of those ones where you overcompensate because of waiting too long the last time. He went too early, and he kind of needs to find that perfect balance of when he can do that, but you're absolutely spot on with it. He did rush that shot 100%, and that's one of the reasons why he didn't get fully set up and pulled it wide. Ball deflected out, and ball up in the air a lot right there, and finally the Cardinals able to get it on the floor.
Then you talk about rushing it, mishitting it, and, having the time to set up. But ironically, a lot of the times you have the ones that set up are also ones you shank too because you feel way too comfortable. So it's also finding the balance of a comfort level and a sense of urgency.
And there's a through ball, and that looks like it's going to go long. And a little surprised that Ham didn't shield that out for a goal kick. He decides to clear it. I think that's a little bit of miscommunication there. That's probably one where Mihal should have told him to let it go, but Ham also should know where the end line is and should have been checking his shoulder to know the defender wasn't close.
Yeah, I think that, you can argue that, Mihal probably should have said something, but I think at the same time, with how deep Trevor Ham has been sitting this game to give the Yellow Jackets a more defensive outlook, he should have known that the ideal play there is to let it roll out for a goal kick, and he gives a throw in, and now Otterbein is dangerous again.
Hoover clears that out. Davalos is the first one to get to it. He plays a cross-field pass, but that one goes straight to Fleury. And again, Cardinals just launching it long and squandering possession there. So for a reminder for those who either didn't see the score of the women's game and their matchup versus the Otterbein Cardinals on the road in Westerville today, or if you weren't tuning in for the first half, the final score for that one was 5-0 in favor of the Cardinals. And the Cardinals, a usual power there on the women's side of things, currently ranked 21st, and Ohio Northern and Otterbein kind of expected to be the front runners on the women's side of things in the OAC. So we got a different game here for the men's matchup, though, in 1-1 between the Yellow Jackets and the Cardinals, and 25 minutes left to go here in the second half, and it's still been pretty even between these two teams. The Yellow Jackets probably slightly controlled possession, probably closer to 60-40 at the moment, but again off of the counter and more opportunities coming from the Cardinals.
Yeah, and I think that one of the things that makes Otterbein so good is in terms of scoring goals and holding people to an average of less than a goal per game is the fact that they play very defensively. But on the flip side of that, they're a very fast attacking team, so it's very interesting to see that BW has done so well, and I think the key to their game right now to win is going to be how can they deal with the pace that keeps coming through, because it does not look like Otterbein is going to slow down. So
substitution for the Yellow Jackets as Attila Nagy checks to the bench, and Andras Fabian, who kind of got a goal, although it got called back earlier in the first half. He was just offsides. The freshman on the left wing, hoping that he gets another opportunity to put the ball in the back of the net, but this time not have it called back for an offsides because of Nagy going out and Fabian moving out to left wing. That means that it'll be a midfield 3, a Davalos holding at the 6, at the 8 above him, Bryce Posner, and then at the 10, center attacking mid spot, Dylan Keeling. And I think the 10 is probably the best position for Keeling. Again, a smaller player. He's crafty, he's quick, looks for the through balls, and I really like him sitting in behind the forward, and I think it's his best spot. Ruppel delivers the ball in. It was in the direction of Hoover, and a little bit of a tug, and Hoover couldn't quite get up to the ball, and that's going to float out of bounds for a goal kick.
Yeah, that's good defending from Otterbein. You don't want to say necessarily, as a defender you want to foul somebody, but you don't want to make the forward's life easy in any capacity. So Otterbein's defense have definitely done a good job of making sure that anybody that's even near the box has had a rough time, with the exception of the 2 goals that were recalled. Other than that, Otterbein's played very well defensively, and I think that they'll continue to do that.
And that throw in intercepted by Garibaldi, and it's one of those things where the whole scheduling in the conference, obviously, it's the whole thing of this year, still in the same order of what teams you're going to play, but locations flipped, and then next year the order will flip. So the last time that these 2 teams played here, we both would have been down there as players the freshman year, and it would have been a win in overtime. Logan Davis got that final goal, and it's one of those situations where it was a pretty close matchup, and that's exactly what we're seeing again there tonight, and this is one of those games that could come down to the very end once again.
Yeah, I mean, that was a good game, 3 years ago. I remember very well as we went into overtime, and Coach Ayers converted the formation from 4 in the back to 3 in the back, pushed Connor Napier up from the center's back spot to play more of a midfield role, and we had a corner or a free kick, and Logan Davis got his head to it in overtime and made it a 2-1 game. So it was a very, very good game, very competitive, and the same thing is here, and I think that it might come to a last-minute effort, or it might end in double overtime tonight.
We have an injured player down for the Cardinals. Looks like he's getting up, and by the help of the trainers, and that's number 11, Kennedy Mensah, the senior forward. Hope he's okay. Looks like a little bit of a knock. He's walking under his own. He's walking under his own power at the moment, and looks like he wants to continue playing. He'll have to step off just briefly, and then he will come back onto the field. So good to see that he's okay, but that's what we mentioned too. I mean, last time here between these 2 teams, a close one. The Yellow Jackets got the better of the Cardinals, and then the last 2 matchups were in Westerville, and the Cardinals won those matchups. So the Yellow Jackets really hoping to, not only get the win tonight to kind of separate themselves from the Cardinals at the moment, because both are sitting at 1-1 in the conference, but also the revenge factor, because it's been a couple years since they got the win over this Cardinals team. Ball played back to Mihal, and we're going to be back underway as we've got just over 21 minutes left to go here in the second half. Witt looking for Fabian, and that one's cut out. Pham able to get up to Piong, who makes a nice cut, gets by Posner. And the flick, not really sure what Will Isaac was trying to do there, but the flick did not come off well.
And I think he was trying to go to the left side, with a quick flick off the foot, and I think he just mishit it.
Ham comes over to meet that ball and clears it out with his left foot, and that's up for a jump ball and off the 50-51 again by the Cardinals. Pyong back to Pham, who plays a good ball up to the near side wing. That one swung in, but headed away off of that Hensley cross into the box.
Yeah, and Pham has had one ridiculous night. I mean, he's played very beautiful balls, been very dangerous in almost every asset of the game. I mean, I think the only thing that I could say to critique him right now is playing better corners, because other than that, he's played very good balls in the box that have been very dangerous. He's possessed the ball well for Otterbein, but that corner kick, he just can't seem to find the right weight of how to play the ball.
Yeah, that's pretty much spot on. All of his corners have gone way to the back post and oftentimes gone long and sometimes just trickled out the backside for a throw. Fabian taking the ground there as he tried to do a 1-2 with Keeling, and I think that's a good call by the official there, and that one's pretty obvious, and it gives the Yellow Jackets an opportunity to push up the center backs and let Danny Ruppel have a hit and float it into the box.
Yeah, it's definitely the right call. Otterbein's defender was kind of late on Fabian, so it's not something you want to see in terms of anybody fouling anybody, but it is part of the game.
Ruppel with the ball in. Ham got the first header on it. Keeling off the half volley. Shouts for handball, nothing there, but as Ruppel collects the ball, he gets fouled from behind, and this is a really good opportunity as it's going to be about 25 yards out for this free kick.
I think it's even, rough. I think it's a little closer than when the official has it currently, but
they backed it up.
Yeah, the ball is at least 3 yards closer to the goal, but I think on this free kick, Danny needs to have a hit.
Yeah.
There's nothing else to say here. It needs to be a driven ball into the back corner from either, or to the left corner, I should say, from either Ralph and or Danny.
Ruppel steps up for it, and that was a good strike as that one went towards the back post. He kind of hit it beside the wall. It wasn't one where he had to get up and over. He struck it with his laces, and it was curling towards that back corner. It had the skip, and that's a tough save for Hoffman, and Hoffman, the senior goalkeeper, able to make it, and the Yellow Jackets now have a corner. 18.5 minutes left to go in the second half. Here comes the in-swinger. Ham wide open. Nobody was around Trevor Ham. All he had to do was head it on frame, and that one would have been a goal. He tried to flick it on rather than head it back to where it came from, and that one goes wide, and I think that's the definition of where they say, take advantage of the ball coming at you. You'll get more power heading it back towards where it came from, and I think he tried to go towards the wrong post.
Yeah, I think that he could have came out a little more straight, and not necessarily put it back where it came from, but just redirecting it. And I think he tried to put power onto it as well as redirect it, because if he comes with his chest parallel to the goal, I think he puts that one on the back left corner, and it's a 2-1 game for BW. But he mishits it, and we're still level.
Yeah, and that sequence right there with that free kick from Ruppel and then that header from Ham, that is the best sequence so far of goal-scoring opportunities here in the second half for the Yellow Jackets, as they haven't had too much here in the second half. One of the best ones that went in the back of the net was called offsides. Here we have a foul as Pyong was taken down, and this is going to be an opportunity for the Cardinals now to put it into the box, and I would assume Tiger Pham will take it again, and this one played short and out, and kind of a needless turnover, but Garibaldi, I think he probably could have played it in the midfield and tried to get to Keeling. Instead, he tried to go right up to Ruppel, and there wasn't really an opportunity to squeeze it through there.
I think he should have kept going despite the pressure on his back from the Otterbein winger. There's controversy to how you want to go about that, but I think personally I would have liked to see Garibaldi take a few extra touches, get the back line a little bit closer because they were going to play the offsides trap, it looked like, and then that gives him an opportunity to play a better ball for Danny to run onto.
Here comes the cross. Witt there on the defense, and that ball deflects around, and Pyong gets the last hit on it, and a reaction save there from Mihal. He's able to just deflect it away, and Tavallos comes to the rescue and gets it out of the box and clears it away. Hoover shielding it, and that's well done by the freshman and defender to shield that out for a goal kick.
Yeah, Hoover's played one phenomenal game. I think that the only issue that I have currently is the fact that he's, I think, tried to play too much through the center from the back, as that's always a dangerous spot. But other than that, he's played a very phenomenal game, both defensively and offensively. He's been a factor, being credited with the goal to put BW level, and he had a header that was also recalled. So he's done very good defensively, and I think he's done one good job playing defensively as he's kept BW level.
And here we have a quick stoppage of time, and for those who see center back Trevor Ham down, don't worry. He's not injured. He's just tying his shoe. And the official is giving him a moment to tie his shoe. Again, just under 15 and a half minutes left to go here in the second half. So far, Otterbein leading the shot total 16-10. Mihal's come up with 7 saves so far in this game to keep the Yellow Jackets in it, but at the same time, Hoffman has had to make some saves on the other end for the Cardinals. It's been a pretty even game. Fabian tries to head it on in the path of Ruppel, and just headed out by Neal. And Stuckey was fouled from behind by Fabian.
Yeah, I think that's, reckless a little bit, not in a dangerous sense, but I think that Fabian fouling Otterbein there is not the ideal play, as they're not really dangerous from that point right now, despite not being a possessive team and being a team that's going to play the ball farther up the field. I don't think that fouling him in their own half is a very smart idea.
Here's an opportunity off the shot, and that is a beautiful finish. Gabriel Schirach was given some room, and he struck it through with his laces, and that one had some backspin on it. It had enough power to get by Mihal, but it was placed right up towards the upper corner. Nothing much Mihal could do about it, and he just took advantage of the space he was given.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to the free kick that Otterbein earns. Fouling them in their own half creates that free kick, which a beautiful ball played from the back. And, I mean, great touch and great finish. There's nothing else to say about it. I think that if you don't foul them in the back, I don't think that play folds that way. I think they still play the ball long, but I think we had more players underneath than they had going forward, so I think BW would have been in a better opportunity or a better spot than they were after the free kick.
Yeah, and you referenced it. You said right before that happened, it's a needless foul. As we're on a break here again, as Pyong for the Cardinals tries to hit a shot, and that one's well over. Goes through the uprights, and another missed opportunity there for the Cardinals. But Kyle, you referenced it. It was a situation where there was a needless foul down there. It set up the goal, and it's one of those things where the freshman forward, Fabian, he's a very passionate guy. He hustles. He has a willingness to get back and work for it, and the ball was lost there, and he was trying to win it back. And you appreciate the energy, but at the same time, the freshman's going to have to learn that fouling the opposing team there in the defending half isn't necessarily the best move.
Yeah, and I like the idea of when you need to fouling the person, and I like the fact that he fouled somebody in a wide position as opposed to in the center of the park. So I appreciate that, but again, unless it's like on the midfield line, I don't think that a foul is ever really necessary, and I think it's just reckless to an extent, and it just causes issues for your own team. So I think that we understand that he's young, but that's something that he's going to have to learn very quickly, that fouls given up in their defensive third is going to be dangerous regardless.
And off of that foul, the Cardinals got the goal there, and now they're up 2-1, and that goal was Schirach's 4th of the season. And that's one that if the Cardinals go on to win this game, it will be listed as the game winner here. But still, 12 and a half minutes left to go here in the second half. Still plenty of time for the Yellow Jackets to get an equalizer.
Oh, there's loads of time still. I mean, anything can happen. Soccer is beautiful that way in the fact that because it's constantly ongoing, there's never any true winner until the last whistle is blown to end the game.
That header back across, and Geither has to track it down. He's able to clear it up to Garibaldi, who then sends it down the line. Kept in by Neal. And Pham turns it over to Garibaldi. Garibaldi looking for Ruppel. And again, you're seeing Garibaldi trying to force it to Ruppel when it's not quite there yet. It needs to be another pass and then go to Ruppel.
Yeah, and I think that, with Danny being, as a freshman, he was one of those people you could play balls like that to, because despite having a very prolific high school career, people in the OAC didn't really know who he was. So he wasn't essentially, in terms of, the soccer world in the OAC, he wasn't a household name. He was somebody that was still, a new kid on the block that you don't have to worry about. And now, as a senior, with scoring as many goals as he has in his career, with being given as many points as he has, to prove that he's a prolific player, people pick up on that, and now that they know that's who they want to mark, and that's BW's arguably most dangerous player. Playing him that ball first time may not always be the option, and I think that it's just a little rushed sometimes, and that might just be because of the fact that BW knows that the time is dwindling down, and they're down 1 goal, and they want to get one back to force an overtime or score 2 to go ahead.
And a substitution for the Cardinals, and coming into this game, Harrison Echols, the freshman midfielder, gets some of his first action. There's a shot. Looking for the curler, that was Hensley. Again, he's already scored one so far in this game. He opened up the scoring. He also had a pretty good opportunity a couple minutes later in the first half right there. Tried to go with his weaker foot with his left and just got under it. And that one, again, another harmless one, but still getting the shots off. Otterbein just not getting as many on frame as they'd like, as 10 of their shots have been off frame. Witt has it. Left-hand side, a 1-2 with Fabian, and then Witt, as he's running through, a heavy touch. And it's deflected. He takes a shot to the face. It seems to be okay, and he tracks back and able to clear it out for a Cardinals throw.
And I like to see that, especially with the way that the game has evolved. 10, 15 years ago, you never really saw outside backs getting forward. And now that it's become a staple of the game is to, if you're an outside back, you have to be an offensive player as well, and Armand Witt has done a very good job showing that he's valuable in that asset. I think only time will tell if the fitness becomes an issue or not, but tonight he looks pretty well fit, and does a good job of tracking back and going forward. So I'd like to see what he does in the next coming years.
And Garrett body tracking back on the run, and there was a shove and a lot of contact there. As I thought Will Isaac was a little reckless there, but official deems play on, and the Yellow Jackets have possession of the ball, and Fabian gives it away, and that's going to be a foul as he came in with a hard challenge as he lost the initial possession. It was a bad first touch, and as it lifted up in the air, that's a dangerous one because he came in, and the official's going to come over and have a talking with his line judge.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but I think that's a yellow card. He comes in late. He has a bad first touch. Granted, the ball was, a rough one to deal with, and I give him credit for attempting to have a decent first touch, but it was out from under him. And I give him credit for trying to go to make the tackle, but I get that he was already in a swinging motion, but it's late, so it's obviously a foul. He comes in full force to win the ball, which I respect. But yeah, it's a foul at the end of the day, and I think that with that being his second of the night, and with how violently he came in swinging, that's a yellow card.
The Cardinals want a yellow card as well, and for those who would maybe think like a red would be in that situation, he didn't come in studs up. It wasn't dangerous in that aspect of he didn't come in with studs up, but he did come in swinging pretty hard, and I do think that I could certainly see a yellow card being issued there, but it's one of those things where it might be time for Reed Ayers to consider also getting Fabian out of here because he will be walking a tightrope. He wasn't given a card there, but another foul, as that's his second in a couple minutes, especially a hard one there. You might not want to take the risk of keeping him out there.
Yeah, and I think the referee is, he's being lenient. I think the words that he's probably saying to both Danny Ruppel and Otterbein's captain, to keep your players in check. Obviously, especially after that one, Otterbein may or may not want revenge from that tackle. So Fabian's got to be a little careful about who he steps around, as he might get, cleated as well. So I think that the official might have been a little too lenient, as I think that could lead to the game being carried away in terms of fouls. But I like the fact that he wants them to be able to play and go from there.
And so Paul Hensley, the sophomore forward, who's had a pretty good game on the right wing, he's out of New Albany. He was helped off by the trainers. Hopefully he is okay. Again, he did take a pretty big hit there.
Now coming in,
and here comes substitution, and is Fabian. He will be going out of the game. Dylan Keeling will return, and it looks like Garibati will switch over to the left wing, and we just talked about it. That probably is the right switch.
Yeah, I think that's the correct move from Coach Ayers. I think that I like the fact that Fabian plays with as much passion for the sport as he does, but at some point when you become a little too reckless, it's time to go.
So Pham with an opportunity to float up and in, but that one's short, doesn't make it into the box, and it's headed away by the Yellow Jackets. Cardinals will have the throw, but that probably the poorest free kick Pham's had from that distance trying to get it into the box.
Yeah, we talked about it earlier. He's done a really good job of playing really good balls in with the exception of the corners. So, yeah, seeing that ball go as short as it was is a little shocking, but, everybody has their miss hits and, stumbles a little bit in the game. So I think that'll probably be one of the very few mistakes that he has the entire night.
8.5 to go here in the second half in this matchup between the Yellow Jackets men, their OAC Conference home opener against the visiting Otterbein Cardinals here on bwyellowjackets.com. Garibaldi with the ball here on the near side of your screen. Plays it back to Hoover, who finds Davalos with a good through ball. Davalos given some room to come forward. He tries to make a move, and that one the full way. That was well read by Stuckey, and he just shielded off Davalos.
I don't think that's a foul, though. I disagree with the fact that he calls a foul there. If you're going to call a foul, I think it goes the other way, mainly because Davalos does take a big touch. But, as a defender, one of the things that, at least that I was taught was one of two things goes through. Either the ball goes through or the player goes through. And that time the ball went through, which meant that Roth got stopped in his tracks. And one could argue that it was, obstruction and or a reckless hit from the back. So I think that it goes the other way on the foul, but that's the referee's decision.
Yeah, and obstruction oftentimes is if the ball's in a playable distance, and I do think it was still close enough that I think it's more of a play on in that situation. I don't think it was really a pullback. I don't think there was anything too malicious. I would just say, well done with the defending, well done by Davalos to not really pull back on that and just continue to play on. So don't really understand the call there from the official. Otherwise, I think the officials have had a pretty good night in general, but that one probably a missed call there.
Yeah, I think, referees have a hard time, dealing with players, and, sometimes they're very inconsistent, but I think the officials tonight have done a very good job.
When we talked about the deliveries on the corners from Pham going to the back post, that one finally went to the near post, and that was the first time Nathan Neal, the 6'4" defender, was able to get his head on the ball off of a corner. Not able to get any good contact, though, and that one flowed out for a goal kick. But the Cardinals trying to come back on the attack and intercepted by Geither, who finds Posner, plays it out to Keeling, and Keeling looking for Ruppel, and Ruppel's kind of blanketed right now, as you see all four defenders just sitting back and in, and it's a situation where the Yellow Jackets, I understand there's 6 minutes left to go and they're feeling pressed, but try to get it down, and what they did in the first half, and play it from one side out to the other and find it through. Just forcing it down the middle isn't working at the moment.
Yeah, I think that, and this is a controversial, way of thinking, but I think as of right now with just under 6 minutes left in the game, to possibly force an overtime, I think you send Geither back up to a forward spot, play three in the back, let Trevor Ham sit as a center back, and have Zach Hoover and Armand Witt be your two quote-unquote outside backs beside him, and play more of a 3-4-3 or a 3-3-4 kind of formation to try and force the game to overtime.
Yeah, I completely agree with that, and I see coming back from the corner, it looks like Andras Fabian, he stayed warming up and put his jacket on, but it looks like he's going to be coming back to the touchline. And we'll see if this is a change of formation as well as we see it forward coming on. I wouldn't be surprised if they go more attacking, as it's getting down to crunch time here in the last 5 minutes. Here's a free kick opportunity, though, for the Cardinals to try to push ahead and get a 2-goal lead. Stepping up to take the free kick will likely be number 6, Nicholas Fleury. He's a junior defender. He's been taking most of the corners from that same side with his in-swinger with the left foot. That one's an in-swinger. Mihal meets it with the punch. Garibaldi tries to head it away in the half volley. And nothing too troublesome off of that shot from Will Isaac.
Yeah, I think that instead of the header there, I think Garibaldi should have, if he's going to clear it, I think he waits for the ball to bounce another time or come closer to his feet and get a clearance with his foot as opposed to the header. Nobody was near him, and I think that it would have given BW a better opportunity to go forward.
And I gave the officials credit just a moment ago, but that in my opinion, is a really bad call. It's Posner gets the poke in. He wins the ball back Attila Nagy coming from behind made a little bit of contact with number 8, Stuckey, but I think Stuckey got a really favorable call there as the play was kind of over in that area and the Yellow Jackets were off to the other way. But Cardinals send a free kick in off the foot of Pham. Ball bounced around. Looks like Ham's going to come over and get it, and he does, and clears it out with the left foot. And that's going to go out for an Otterbein throw.
Yeah, I think that's a soft call. I don't think there's really anything there. Posner did get ball first. I mean, obviously, there's potential to make contact with the player after you hit the ball. So I understand, you know, that aspect of trying to maybe call the foul. But on the reverse side, it is soccer. It is physical, you know. And I think maybe on the other side of that too is I think if he cards Fabian from that initial foul as opposed to talking to the captains, that he doesn't have to make calls like that to keep the game under wraps.
And Fabian's been standing over there trying to check in for the last 2 minutes, but no throw-ins or any dead balls really helping the Yellow Jackets out to make their switch until now. Finally, we have a goal kick and we make the switch. And it looks like Rafael Davalos will come out, so there will be 2 in the midfield, and it looks like they'll run with 2 up top, so 4 in the back. And then, actually, it looks like Witt might be coming forward a bit, or they're just pushing up, but a little bit interesting here. It looks like 4 in the back with 2 midfielders, and
it's actually 3 in the back.
Yep, you're
Joey
right.
Geither has gone up.
Geither has gone up. So sometimes you see the outside backs go forward. In this situation, looks like Geither's playing more of a right wing again. And here we have a foul in transition. This is going to be a card as it stopped the break. And that's one of those where that's a kind of a foul you have to make there, I think.
I like that foul. I mean, I don't like the fact that he came in from behind, but I like the fact that he fouled him there. You know, it's you're stopping the run of play. You're destroying the momentum that Otterbein had going forward. And as a defender, when you're being countered on, you know, especially with the pace that Otterbein has, that's a good foul in my book. I agree with the yellow card, but I'm not going to complain about the fact that that was the foul.
And so here the official checks over to the scorer's table, and he's going to address something really fast, and then he'll come back as the Cardinals will have an opportunity to take the free kick here. It's a pretty good opportunity here for Pham from a little bit out, but probably a good position from the middle for him to get it up and over the wall if he wants to hit a shot.
This is a good distance. I think I think here's a spot where you hit the ball and you drive it.
He decides to pass it short. And the drive in that one goes harmlessly behind off of the cross from Stuckey. And so here the Yellow Jackets are with their 3 backs. And then the 2 that are holding more, and Posner and Nagy with Keeling in front. And then on the left side is Garibaldi. On the right side, Geither with Rupel and Fabian up top. Keeling with the ball. Tries to feed it out to Geither. It's deflected, but Geither tracks back and gets it. He swings it across the field, and that is a flat ball and intercepted. It's coming back the other way for the Cardinals. And this is a foot race. And just getting the touch. Number 7, Schirach, he scored the last goal to put the Cardinals in the lead. I think he probably should have hit that one time as soon as he got behind Mihal. I know that's a tough angle, but he had a better opportunity to hit it.
I think I would have liked to see him instead from you're up ahead. I think you take it to the corner there. You beat Mihal, take it to the corner, kill the game. I think that would have been the correct move. So I like the fact that he held up and did not, tried to kill the game a little bit. I think if Mihal wins that ball there, I think that BW is on a very good counterattacking position.
Yeah, but if you're going to kill the game, don't take a shot. I don't know why he tried to kill it and then decided to take a shot. So either go early when you had an opportunity to score or just go to the corner, like you said. Under 30 seconds left to go. It's go time for the Yellow Jackets. Ball played out to Posner. He gets the cross in, and we're going to have a throw. And it's going to be an opportunity to launch the ball into the box. 15 seconds left to go. They got to go. Posner launches it in. Ball flicked on by Ham. And there's the save for Hoffman. And that is going to kill the game. And that's over as he clears it away, and that does it. So there you have it. The Otterbein Cardinals come into George Finnie Stadium here in Berea, and they take down the Baldwin Wallace Yellow Jackets by a score of 2-1. That means the Yellow Jackets fall to 8-6 and 1-2 in the conference, and Otterbein improves to 8-4 and 2-1 in conference play. What are your thoughts on this game, Kyle?
I think that the better team lost tonight, in all honesty, and that's not a biased standpoint. Obviously, you could argue that that's a factor as you and I have both played for BW. But I do think that the better team lost tonight. BW played all around better. On the flip side, not Capital. I'm thinking about the John Carroll game right now. Otterbein did come in, and they took advantage of the chances that they had. They had many more chances than BW. You could argue the quality of them, but overall, the result is what it is. I think that BW has to keep their heads about them because it could have been a 3-2 game in BW's favor if they don't get the 2 offsides calls. And I think that, it was a good performance from the Yellow Jackets, and it was, despite the loss, very, very hard fought, and they should be proud of themselves.
The Yellow Jackets' next matchup will be on Wednesday at Heidelberg at 4 o'clock. So that's the next game for the Yellow Jackets and their chance to turn around and try to change the results after they take this loss here. And that's now back-to-back losses with that 1-0 defeat. Thanks for tuning in.